Well, welcome to the 700 Club. After months of court battles, President Trump's travel ban went into effect last night, and more legal challenges are already on the way.
The president says he's simply acting to protect Americans from possible terrorism. But protesters still took to some major airports. Mark Martin has the story.
Now that President Trump's travel ban is in effect, travelers from 6 Muslim-majority countries with links to terrorism have to meet certain requirements before they can enter the U.S. The countries affected include Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen.
The American public could have legitimate concerns about their safety when we open our doors.
No chaos at airports, which remained calm overall, although protesters gathered at LAX in Los Angeles.
We don't want to be living in a society where people are discriminated against.
They're trying to find a way into this arena of suppressing Muslim rights. So if they are successful with these countries, more countries will get added.
My family members are stuck in a war zone.
And at Union Square in New York.
I've been very mentally and emotionally drained from all of this for a while.
On Monday, the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, reinstated practically all of the revised travel ban, overturning lower court rulings that critics said amounted to liberal overreach. The High Court said travelers who could prove a bona fide relationship with a U.S. person or entity could enter the country. The State Department this week said the personal relationships include a parent, spouse, son, daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, sibling, or fiancé already in the United States. The president's initial travel ban in January surprised travelers and fueled widespread protests. The revised version could lead to a new round of court battles. Already, the state of Hawaii filed an emergency motion requesting that a federal judge provide more clarification on what exactly counts as a personal relationship. The Supreme Court is scheduled to consider the overall ban in October. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Let me underline the principle that's really at work here. And it's not just, I'm not about the travel ban itself. President Trump ran on a platform that included this, and he won an election. And then in the aftermath of the election, when he tried to put it in place, he found district court judges saying, no, as president of the United States, you don't have authority to do this. And they somehow found constitutional rights in foreign citizens, that somehow they enjoy the protections of the Bill of Rights. What the Supreme Court has done is emphasize judicial restraint. I hope they do it strongly in their October decision. We'll have to wait to see that. But this is what I call judicial overreach. And in a country where there is a rule of law, yes, the president has to comply with the law, but so do the federal courts, and they have to understand under the Constitution the broad powers given to the president, particularly on foreign affairs and on immigration, and who has the right to come into the United States. In my view, this was a clear case of judicial overreach, and I hope the Supreme Court underlines that. So in the future, federal district court judges don't sit there thinking somehow they have power over the president. In other news, Congress has passed 2 bills to crack down on problems related to illegal immigration. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
Thanks, Gordon. The House passed a measure known as Kate's Law. It would mean tougher penalties for illegal aliens who've been deported but try to come back to the United States. The bill is named after Kate Steinle, the San Francisco woman killed 2 years ago by an illegal immigrant who came back to the country despite being deported several times. Another measure would prevent sanctuary cities from getting federal grants. The 2 bills were passed after a group of families who lost their loved ones to criminal illegal immigrants spoke out this week here in Washington. Paul Strand has that story.
Burglary, assault, rape, murder. We are AVIAC, advocates for victims of illegal alien crime.
At this launch in the nation's capital, members of the group talked about how they lost their loved ones, like Maureen Maloney's son Matthew, hit by a drunk illegal criminal who then ran over Matthew's body twice more.
Tragically, the unlicensed, drunk criminal alien made the fatal decision to flee. He ran over Matthew, and Matthew became trapped under the truck wheel well. Matthew was dragged over a quarter of a mile to his death as panicked, horrified onlookers tried frantically to get the driver to stop. The driver knew he was dragging Matthew, yet he continued to flee.
Marianne Mendoza spoke of her son Brandon.
An illegal criminal, 3 times the legal limit drunk, and high on meth, crashed head-on into my son's car, killing him after the illegal had traveled over 35 miles the wrong way on 4 different freeways in Phoenix. This illegal criminal had previously committed crimes in our country and was allowed to stay here.
Michelle Root's daughter Sarah was murdered last year.
All of our loved ones would still be here today if it wasn't for the person that was here illegally.
Congressman Steve King, a leading fighter in Congress against illegal immigration, echoed that theme. King points out a whopping 28% of the prison population are illegal immigrant criminals.
Crimes are committed in greater numbers by criminal aliens in this country than they are by American citizens. The GAO studies, at least 2 of them, prove that.
So King says many more families would be saved from tragedies like these families have suffered if the illegal criminals are removed from the U.S. or prevented from ever getting into the country in the first place. Sabine Durden believes such enforcement could have saved her son Dominic.
A previously deported 2-time felon, illegally here from Guatemala, decided that our laws don't apply to him. He already had 2 felonies, 2 DUIs on his record, and he was still on probation for his last DUI. The unlicensed killer turned left with his unregistered, uninsured truck in front of oncoming traffic and struck Dominic so hard that it threw my son into a wall.
Aviac says it will fight for tough legislation as they shine a spotlight on the high costs the country pays for letting illegal criminals stay free to victimize Americans. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Paul. Morning Joe co-host Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski fired back at President Trump today after he attacked them in a controversial tweet Thursday, calling Brzezinski crazy and saying she was bleeding badly from a facelift when he saw them at his Florida estate back in December. The co-host said he lied about that encounter. Brzezinski repeatedly has attacked Trump on the show, and some leading Republicans didn't like Trump's response.
Look, what we're trying to do around here is improve the tone and the civility of the debate. And this obviously doesn't help do that.
Some political analysts believe the controversy will die down fairly quickly. Well, the iPhone turns 10 years old, and it's changed not only the way people communicate, surf the web, shop, and even conduct their finances. It's also changed the way some people read the Bible. Millions of people now read the Bible on smartphone apps. The most popular is YouVersion, which has been downloaded about 277 million times in over 1,000 languages. Or people can read the scriptures on various Bible websites through their phones as well. Gordon, what's your preference, the Bible app, or do you use the traditional leather-bound hard copy?
I like the Superbook Bible app. That's a really good one, so I'll do a plug for the one that CBN has. I use YouVersion as well, and you know, having a Bible on your phone is a wonderful thing, and you don't have to carry around a book anymore. You have it right with you, and whenever you want to, you can spend time in the Bible. Might be a better thing than spending time on Twitter.